Let's get into some things. The Reform Party, by its name, means reform. You will be leaving, if you run this, you're leaving what, the Republican Party?
I'm a registered Republican. I'm a pretty conservative guy. I'm somewhat liberal on social issues, especially health care, etc. But I'd be leaving another party, and I've been close to that party.
Why would you leave the Republican Party?
I think that nobody's really hitting it right. The Democrats are too far left. I mean, Bill Bradley, this is seriously left. He's trying to come a little more center, but he's seriously left. The Republicans are too far right. And I don't think anybody's hitting the chord. Not the chord that I want to hear, and not the chord that other people want to hear. And I've seen it. Plus, I think there's a great lack of spirit in this country. What's happened over the last 4 years is disgusting. And I just think there's a tremendous lack of spirit. And I think the spirit has to be brought back.
You have a vice presidential candidate in mind?
Well, I really haven't gotten quite there yet.
It's
I guess
it's just
Oprah. I love Oprah. Oprah would always be my first choice.
Oprah.
Oprah, your competitor, right?
Oprah's a competitor.
You know what?
No
I'll tell you, she's really a great woman, though. She is a terrific woman. She's somebody that's very special. I have not even thought about it. I guess we'll see. We'll see. Maybe that's part of the whole process.
Would she be someone, I mean, kidding aside, that you might think
if
about?
she'd do it, she'd be fantastic. I mean, she's popular, she's brilliant, she's a wonderful woman. I mean, if she'd ever do it, I don't know that she'd ever do it. She's got,
you'd ask her.
She'd be sort of like me. I mean, I have a lot of things going, she's got a lot of things going.
What a ticket
that would be.
That
would be a pretty good ticket, but she's a very exceptional woman.
What makes a good president?
Well, I think the leadership qualities. You know, the sad part about President Clinton, who I happen to like a lot, but he could have had a great presidency if the whole thing with Monica and Paula Jones, and the worst of all is, Linda Tripp. I mean, this woman, where she came from, I have no idea, but this is the woman from hell.
But he didn't have anything to do with Linda Tripp.
No, he didn't, but she always seems to surface, and she's just became a part of the administration.
But can't you say, in all honesty, as Reagan asked when running against Carter, haven't you done better under Clinton?
Donald
Trump,
you know what?
The
truth is that Rubin and Alan Greenspan and those appointments
it's on his watch,
and it is on his watch. And the sad part is, and what I'm saying is that he could have gone down as a really very good and maybe
you'll admit you
president.
have done well, and the country's done.
I have done well, and the country's done well from an economic standpoint. There's no question about that. And now you're going to see what happens over the next period of a year, because when the election takes place, if things aren't doing well, Larry, your Reform Party candidate has a major chance of doing something major.
Why,
so you have to see what happens.
Why does Gore inherit this character question?
Well, Gore is a man that I've said before is a very underrated man. But if he keeps going the way he's going, which has been terrible, he's no longer going to be underrated.
What's he doing wrong?
Nobody knows. It's just, I think he's relying on too many people. I think he probably raised too much money, and therefore it's being taken away by too many different consultants. I mean, everybody's got a piece of him. If he'd just go back to being the regular guy that he was, I think he'd do. I mean, he got to be vice president of the United States by being Gore. And now, all of a sudden, you have 15 people tugging on his shoulders and taking money from his various contributions. I mean, if he spent $20 million, I've spent exactly $20 million less. And
what do you want in a president? You said, okay, Clinton could have been a great president, not for the character issue. And you're saying the character issue...
Well, I think it's very important. I mean, Ronald Reagan, to me, was a great president. And whether you're liberal or you're conservative, people really view him as a great president. He'll go down as a great president, not so much for the things he did, just there was a demeanor to him and a spirit that the country had under Ronald Reagan that was really phenomenal. And there was just a style and a class, and that's a big part of being president. I mean, that's a really big part of being president. Ronald Reagan had it. Eisenhower, I don't see him too much on lists of great presidents, but there was a nice time in the country. The country had a prestige, and he had a certain, demeanor. He was a quality class act. There are certain people that have that. Unfortunately, with all of the scandal in the last 4 years, and what's happening with Gore is he's really tainted by it, and he's probably the last one to be involved in that kind of a scandal. But he's still tainted by it. It's a tough
fair
problem.
or unfair, it's a fact.
Well, I mean, if he were really on his game, he'd get one of his senator friends to go and run against Bradley and him so that you could divide up the anti-Clinton/Gore vote, and he'd get in very easily.
Get somebody else.
At least he'd get the nomination.
Strategy.
Well, no, it has to be strategy, because it's not that Bradley's good. Bradley's not great. I know Bradley very well from New Jersey. I think I'm the largest employer in the state of New Jersey, and I know Senator Bradley. And he was going to be thrown out of office. This guy was not going to be reelected. And then he made the statement that I'm going not to run, and the Senate is a terrible place, and everybody in the Senate said, it wasn't that he didn't want to run. The guy was going to lose. He was going to lose badly.
Well, Perot told us back in '92 the kind of president he would be if elected, that he would be decisive, he would be uninterested in pomposity, he would be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning. These are things he would do. He didn't like, not a big ribbon cutter. What kind of president would Donald Trump be?
Well, again, all those things are fine, but again, you go back to Reagan, and there is a certain pomposity, and there was a certain ribbon-cutting stature that is important for the president. I think that the whole style and look of him was just really.
Are you saying that's the kind of person you want to be?
Well, I don't say that, and I don't like to be compared to anybody, and maybe it would be unfair to them, to be honest with you, but the president has to be a great leader, and you have to lead by example. But you need leadership in this country, and we're just not having it right now. And this is going to be Gore's problem, because he is very much associated with 4 very ugly years, despite an economy. I mean, if you had a bad economy at this point, it would be a disaster out there. But you do have the one thing, you have a good economy.